Dad took pictures. And even by his own rare self-admission, he was pretty good at it. Dad never stopped learning, and photography never stopped providing him with the opportunity to learn. I remember when I was about 14, I lamented to Dad, and I said, "We have so many photos by you, but we have so few pictures of you." And in typical Dad fashion, he just shrugged and went, so take some. Dad never stopped learning, but he never stopped teaching either. And there was something about his nonchalance that struck me hard. There was a lesson. I wanted to learn it. So it took a while. Probably took a year. And suddenly it hit me, the tremendous gift that Dad's photos are. We get to see life through my father's eyes. Photographers are the record keepers of God, recording all of his creations, 1/500th of a second at a time. And suddenly, I realized I could see all of God's creation as Dad saw it. And I stopped caring about pictures of him. All I wanted to see were more pictures that he took. The lessons. Why did you take this photo? What were you trying to show us? What did you see? And through the years, there were hundreds of thousands of photos. And I wanted more. In the last decade or so, I got so greedy, I'll call them BC. I wanted the photos before camera. I wanted the stories from the beginning of Dad's life. I wanted all of the lessons. What can you teach me, Dad? So let's just go through a couple of them. Those pictures. Both literal and mental pictures of 83 years of a life well lived. Brooklyn, New York. Dad's about 8 years old. The Jesuits took a crowd of the inner city kids to a pool to go swimming. And Dad saw the kids jumping off the diving board. And he took one look at them and he said, "I can do that." And he went up on the diving board and he looked out that long thing and he went and took a running leap into the embrace. And in that euphoric yet terrifying moment of complete freedom, he thought, now what do I do? Dad couldn't swim. And down he went, and he bobbed once, and he bobbed twice, and to the bottom went Dad. And a Jesuit brother jumped off of the poolside and grabbed this big-eared kid by the hair and pulled him up and put him on the side of the pool. What's the lesson? Be fully committed. Nothing in life is worthwhile without your full commitment. Jump in with both feet. Sink or swim. You might want to try and think about what's going to happen after you jump. Brooklyn, New York. Perhaps age 14. Dad's in a gang. The real deal. He was the fastest kid in the gang, save for one other. And they were step for step as fast as each other. That can breed some petty jealousies. And this other kid didn't like Dad. One day he was walking down the street and this other kid confronted him. And the kid pulled a gun on him. He held it to Dad, and he said, "Stay where you are." Dad held his head high, and he kept walking towards him. And a second time, a little scared, the kid said, "Stay where you are." And Dad kept going. And the kid shot him. The lesson: be brave. Even in the face of unbelievable adversity, have faith in yourself, and God will take care of you. Naga, the Philippines. Dad's about 25. Jesuit scholastic, teaching high school. And he went out into the village, and he saw some of his students and the lives they had to live. They would finish school, and they would go and work until after dark, just to be able to provide for their parents' families, their own families. And when they were done working, they would go home and by candlelight do my father's homework. There was no electricity in some of these places. And this kid from the inner city ghettos of New York City saw that there are different levels of poverty. Equality does not mean fair. The lesson: give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You never know if that is the one thing that will get those kids through the day. Someday, if someone gives you the benefit of the doubt, it might be the only thing that gets you through it. Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. Dad's about 32. He's got a big shindig for work he's got to go to, and he got set up on a blind date. So he called the girl. He'd learned the lesson from picture number 1. Have a plan. So he called the girl up, and he said, "I want to meet you." And she said, "You can't come over. My hair is in rollers." And he said, "It's all right. I got a sister. I don't mind." Forget about what she thought. So he came over, and this poor girl had to get her hair down and look all presentable. They came in and they sat down in the living room, and mustering all the charm of his Irish ancestors and all the opening lines you can come up with, he says to her, "So what are your thoughts on the ongoing Vietnam War?" Oh, mother, how could you resist? The lesson: ask the tough questions first, because you'll know if it's worthwhile to move on or continue the interview and relationship. A few years later, Dad's 34. Mom is in the recovery room, because in that day and age, they would drug the daylights out of the mother during childbirth. And she inquired about their firstborn son. And the first thing he said was, first of all, he's beautiful. The lesson: find the truth in everything. A few years later, the corollary to that lesson, Mom asked about their second-born son. And the first thing he said was, "I can't wait till he gets married." So find the truth in everything, because the truth will set you free. And now we're to the actual photos that I have seen, the real ones. Daily lessons learned through the decades. Pictures of my brother rowing. The lesson: patience with yourself and perseverance, and you will find something at which you excel. Pictures of me playing soccer. The lesson being, Do not let size measure the magnitude of your impact. Place no limits on yourself, and you will have no limits. Pictures of his bride. Mom hated having her picture taken, and she still does. And the lesson being patience, compassion, especially when someone else's feelings are involved. And what might result will surprise even you. And then daughters-in-law came. And those of us who were used to it kind of laughed at the junior varsity's reactions to having their own personal paparazzi chasing them around. One daughter-in-law, I would call it confusion as to how am I supposed to react? Do I smile? Do I make a face? I'm washing dishes here. Is this worth recording? And the answer and the lesson was yes. This is worth recording because you are worth recording. The other daughter-in-law, I would call the reaction abject terror. She would literally hide, not knowing that this wily old fox had been chasing his own bride around for the better of 40 years. You can't hide from that lens. And the eventual lesson was, hide it if you want. Beauty comes out in the end. And then grandchildren came. Never was there subjects more worthy of his lens and focus. Whether it be the iridium blue twinkle in his grandson's eyes, or the golden glow of his granddaughter's hair in the Cape Cod sun. Dad really hit his stride. And it wasn't just photos of the family. Sunsets. Seashells. It was unbelievable. And the underlying theme was joy. The lesson, life is good. And he got so good that he started finding the pictures within the pictures. He would show you what he had seen. We would see life through Dad's eyes. And then 3 days later, there would be a chunk of that photo. And it was almost a game. Did you see it? Hyperfocus. It was amazing. And then one day, he did it. And of course, it was a photo of one of the grandchildren. The child was about a year old, not walking, not talking, this little pudge ball, full of the wonder of discovery of all of God's creations. The green grass, the porcelain skin, messy hair. And the child was holding out a leaf, looking at this leaf. Look at this. Isn't this fascinating? Look what God made. And I saw the photo. I went, ooh, that's a good one. Let's see what else Dad put in there. I hit scroll, scroll, scroll. And 3 days later came the picture within the picture. He'd zoomed in solely to the child's face. And the catchlight in the eye, in perfect focus, was the reflection of the child's outstretched arm and the leaf. I call this photo Emmanuel. It is my Father's view of the world, capturing his grandchild's view of the world. Dad gave us photographic proof that God is with us. Lord, we return unto you, Matthew, your record keeper, one of your best, the man who's forever searching for that perfect picture, and you shall now forever remain picture perfect. Amen.